everyone, welcome to BOA Today. My name is Tim Hinton. I'm the host of the Marching Roundtable podcast and the creator of MarchingArtsEducation.com. This week, we meet identical twins who happen to both be high school band directors. We get advice from two marching arts instructors, we hear a recap of this past weekend's BOA regional performances, and we talk about Purposeful Movement, making sure that all the choreography that your wind performers are doing in your show is appropriate and fits the show concept. All of this on BOA Today.
The Marching Roundtable presents BOA Today, a special podcast created to take you behind the scenes and up close to the great performances, interesting stories, and fascinating people that make Bands of America so exciting. The Marching Roundtable is proud to be an official media partner of Music for All. This podcast series is sponsored by Fred J. Miller Incorporated, found at fjminc.com/roundtable.
Hi everyone, my name is Jessica Slabaugh and I am the Color Guard Director and also Program Coordinator at American Fork High School. I have seen such amazing things happen during this 2022 season and I'm super excited as we head into our last few weeks. Just wanted to share a couple tips with you as a director or you as a student as you're preparing yourself for these last few weeks of your season. The first tip is never make it about winning. I know a lot of us are super excited about heading into those last performances and we're excited to see what the outcomes are, but honestly, you can't control how other bands do. The only thing that you can control is how you approach the next few weeks. So make it about your own band, make it about setting goals, make it about having amazing rehearsals with consistent runs, and you will set your students up for success. You'll set them up so that they can go out there and have the best run on and off of that field. Okay, we can never make it about making finals or about placing higher than we have before because honestly, we don't control those. Those don't matter. Making sure that your students are successful, making sure that you have wonderful rehearsals will set you up for success. Enjoy the process. It's so much fun. We have such an amazing thing that we get to do in our activity is we get to share art with other people. We get to let them experience what we've been working on and crafting for some of us for months and months and months. So enjoy it. Enjoy your students. Work on that consistency and having really, really great consistent rehearsal runs, and that will produce an amazing product for whatever that end performance is for you. I wish you all the best, and I'm super excited to see a lot of you live, and have a great rest of your season.
Thank you, Jessica, for those reminders. Up next, we meet two band directors who are identical twins. But first, Daniel Valdez of TexasBands.com gives us a recap of last weekend's BOA regional performances.
Hey Tim, it's Daniel with TXBands.com. How's it going? The nerds are sleeping right now, but I'm back at the stadium because they went and blogged the entire thing, the entire Bands of America Indianapolis Super Regional Championships, all 80-plus programs, including everybody in finals in the exhibition programs. Fantastic stuff over there. Congratulations to Avon High School. Of course, there's a tradition, the Texas Bands crew, we put on a brisket every time Avon wins a contest. Needless to say, we've gone through a lot of brisket. So congratulations to them. The Indianapolis Super Regional was absolutely incredible. Carmel sounds like a wind ensemble. Blue Springs has one of the most beautiful shows you'll probably ever hear and see on the field. Jenks was incredible. Goshen really had a fantastic performance up in Indiana, so a fantastic performance all around over there. We had the Bands of America Orlando Regional Championships, which was incredible. Tarpon Springs with yet another regional championship win. We had Wando come out and do incredible things once again. James Bowie from Austin went all the way out to Orlando to the Orlando Regional Championships and did a fantastic job there representing the state of Texas. And anytime you can have Stoneman Douglas enter the field, whether it's their fantastic winter guard or their excellent marching band, it is always such an inspiring performance from them. So congratulations to Stoneman Douglas.
Hello, everyone. My name is Geer, a band instructor in Powder Springs, Georgia, and I just got back from finishing my own DCI season with the Blue Devils this past summer, and I am here with both Tim and Tom Cox, who, as you can see, are identical twin brothers, but also band directors in Indiana. One is at Goshen, and then one is at Decatur Central, and we're just going to be talking about their experience, not only as brothers being within the same industry as educators, but just how their programs are going. So whenever you are ready, either Mr. Tom or Mr. Tim, who would like to go first on giving some insight about yourselves?
I'm Tom Cox. I'm one of the director of bands at Goshen High School. This is year 30 overall for me, and year 23 at Goshen.
My name is Tim Cox, and I'm the director of bands at Decatur Central High School, year number 30 as well, and year 25 at Decatur Central High School. I spent 5 years previous at Pendleton Heights.
So when you talk about competing against each other, now where does that? I don't really sense a very like competitive nature, but you know, you're best friends, but you're also brothers. So where does that? How does that competitive sense lie? Like, are you guys extremely competitive about one another, or?
Well, I made the joke a couple times. Had Tom been a percussion major, I probably would have broken his arm to get the advantage. But you know, he was in that woodwind world, and I was not. And so, but no, we're honestly cheering for each other. And it's, you know, I've had a couple frustrations with a few of my parents, even in years. They're like, you know, they want to make it into something that it's not.
We've beaten Decatur. Decatur's beaten us. It kind of goes back and forth. I mean, I think, you know, the best thing is getting to see the kids' reaction of like, oh, it's the other Mr. Cox. And, you know, it's so, you know, we're not really competitive for each other. I'm not out to beat him. He's not out to beat me. But, you know, that's competition. We understand it. You know, we've been there, you know, a lot of times, and we've gotten the best of him and he's gotten the best of us. So it's fine. You know, we're his number one fan.
Whenever we end up at, like, we go to the Purdue Jazz Festival, Tom and I are both big jazz guys. And so we're going to try to make our bands hear each other's bands. And they're always incredibly supportive. Or if we're at, you know, Winter Drumline stuff, things like that. So I think the kids do get a big kick out of it. First of all, just seeing how he and I interact. And they, you know, I do remember last year Tom brought the band down, and I think I put on a Goshen hat. And Tom put on my Decatur Central hat just so we could mess with the kids. And that's great. I love it.
Yep.
I wish that was recorded so that I could see their like reactions, like,
it's funny. The staff will stand in the background and just watch because they love that time. Because this is our first time for us to be able to see each other this year, this coming weekend.
Yeah.
And, you know, the staff just watch. And, you know, Josh and I have been together. We've taught together now 17 years. And just to watch the freshmen go, wait, oh my, it's true. They weren't lying. So it's a lot of fun.
That is awesome. So is there any advice that you both may have for other inspiring educators or upcoming band directors when it comes to like sibling relationships within the industry?
Well, I think, you know, a lot of it goes back to just how we were raised by our parents. You know, it's family. And so it's always been family first. And I think, you know, you have to be each other's fans. This is a hard job to do, just teaching in general. But then if you're going to run competitive programs like we do, you know, you want to cheer for the kids and success, because that's really what it's about. You know, win or lose, whatever, that stuff doesn't matter. What's going to matter, as our good friend Joel Denton always says, is the heartware, right? Mm-hmm. So, you know, what do the kids remember, and how hard did they have to work, and where did that get them? And then what did they learn about themselves along the way? And so I think that, you know, if you can always think about those things, whether you're siblings or not, then your kids and your program are going to be successful.
And I think it's important to have someone, even if it's not a sibling, it's a friend. Doesn't have to be in the same city now with, you know, all of our web services that we have. Someone to talk to, you know, someone to go, man, here's my problem. What do you think I should do? I'm fortunate that I have, you know, like Josh Kaufman and the middle school band staff and all that. I have a 77-year-old band director on my staff that has seen everything and done everything. And, you know, so I think it's important to have someone that you can call and talk to. And for me, that's Tim. But for other people in the business, you got to have that. We both have taught in places that were pretty remote, or like even now, we don't really live close to one another. We can't get together at B-dubs and hang out. But you can call and you can talk and, you know, share your problems or ideas, music selection, any of that kind of stuff. So, you know, I think it's important to have friends in the business and be able to talk to them candidly, you know, honestly. There's nothing that I ever hide from Tim, and the same way from him. So you can really ask those questions. I think it's, you know, really important just to have someone that you can trust and talk to.
You can watch the entire conversation with Tim and Tom Cox on the Marching Roundtable YouTube channel.
Hello everyone, my name is Geer, and some tips for young, ambitious music educators like myself as we continue this month of Bandtober. One thing that has constantly been a reminder for me is understanding various learning styles. And that may sound cliche to someone who's been teaching for something plus years, but as for a new educator, fresh out of drum corps, coming into a program with a brand new band director, what I've had to understand is that not every child who is in a specific program learn the same way. I have my group of visual learners. I got my group of learners that just need a checklist. I have those. And as an educator, I've made it my job to accommodate to those learning styles so that they can help perfect the show as a whole. Is it a little bit more work? Yes, but they're executing everything on my list in order for them to understand the reasoning behind of why I'm making them do that. As we are continuing this very high intense competitive month, just understanding that yes, it's band season, yes, competitions are coming quick, but also take the time to be present and understand that, you know, this person learns this type of way. Maybe if I demonstrate it that way, then they can help make the show even better.
You can help a young person be able to join the band by donating a used instrument. We talked with Scott Keefer of the Gift of Music Foundation to learn how. And then, after a brief sponsor message, we talked with a BOA judge and a top choreographer about how to make sure the movement in your show is exactly what it needs to be for your group. Hey everyone, it's Tim Hinton, the Beast of the Marching Arts. I'm talking with Scott Keefer today from the Gift of Music Foundation. Scott, how are you?
Doing great. Thanks for having us again.
So please introduce yourself.
Okay, Scott Keefer. I'm the Vice President of the Gift of Music Foundation. We're based in Atlanta, Georgia. We are a nonprofit whose primary function is to provide musical instruments for beginning band students who may have financial difficulties and might not be able to afford them. It's a problem that we know has been out there for a long time, as a lot of schools have cut funding and things. The supply of instruments that schools own and things like that has diminished quite a bit. So we just want to make sure there's never an opportunity where a child or a parent has to decide, I just can't enroll my student in band because we can't afford it. You know, that's just heartbreaking because there's some talented musicians that have yet to be discovered, and we want to make sure that money is not an object that stands in the way of them getting an instrument in their hands and getting started on that future in music education.
Well, Scott, I love talking to you anytime we can because I think this is such a great service you're providing. Of course, you have a great repair shop that can take instruments that are donated, fix them up, and get them out. And everybody, I have to admit that I actually finally donated my French horn that was no longer playing, and I'm very happy that they're working on it, and hopefully it's going to get out there to a student. So, Scott, I know there's lots of ways that people can donate and help out. Tell me about that.
Well, the main source of our instruments is donated instruments, and we get them from all around the country. As you mentioned, we have a very high-end repair facility. So as instruments come in, we're able to make sure that they're in the best possible condition and that we're not putting a broken or junky instrument in somebody's hands. We're very selective about the brands that we use as well. As you know, as anybody in music education knows, there's a lot of instruments out there that are not super high quality, that are a bargain, but they're really not. We call them instrument-shaped objects. That's one of the things that we do is we're very particular about making sure that the instruments we do put out into people's hands are going to last. You know, some of them are old, some of them have been, viable instruments for 20 or 30 years, but some of those older instruments are workhorses. You know, they were made differently back in the 60s and 70s, and some of those instruments are fine instruments and great for a beginning student. So having a shop to assess and repair and fix instruments up is a big part of our process. And we're very fortunate that we have that. It's been a great year for us. We have tripled the number of instruments we were able to put in kids' hands this year.
Fantastic. Love it.
To put it in perspective, we've outgrown our facility so much that we're about to have to triple the size of our space. We're planning our second move in 3 years because we continue to outgrow. We just have so many instruments coming through the process. Now, the upside of that is that we have almost empty shelves in our warehouse right now because so many instruments have gone out. it's not a case of stockpiling instruments that aren't being used. It's a case of instruments that are coming in that we're trying to get prepared and reconditioned and move them out that way. So, but yes, donated instruments are really the lifeblood of what we do. We have a website that's easy to find. It's giftofmusic.org, and right on the front page, there's a little window that says donate an instrument. It's a pretty simple process. You just let us know what you have, where you are, where it's coming from. If it's something, we're based in Atlanta, so if someone can drop it off to us, that's great. If not, we have options where people can ship it to us at our expense or your expense, whichever. But you let us know that it's coming, then we get the instrument in, you get a confirmation letter. All the donations are tax deductible because we are a 501c3 nonprofit. So and those instruments go right into the process of getting reconditioned and either directly in the hands of a student, or now in some cases, it's important to know that not every instrument that is donated necessarily makes it to a child, because we serve beginning band students. That's our mission. And sometimes people donate a drum set or an electric guitar or something that is not in demand, or a saxophone that is an advanced level instrument that we wouldn't want to give to a fifth grader who's just starting out because it might be too much. So we have an online resale process, and instruments like that are donated that aren't appropriate for a beginning student, we sell them, use those proceeds to buy instruments that are age appropriate. So if you donate a saxophone worth $2,000, we can probably buy 8 or 10 beginning level clarinets. So your instrument is still getting to the hands of kids who need instruments. Sometimes it's just not direct. It's important that everybody understand that. But the vast majority of instruments that come in are student level, do go directly into kids' hands, and that's the cycle that we're trying to continue to do. More in, more out. The more that we get donated, the more kids we can help.
Yeah, I love it. And the reason I'm talking to you right now, Scott, is because I love this idea of whatever it is that I have at home that I think is a musical instrument that I can donate, it's somehow going to help this process of getting instruments collected, repaired, and into the hands of students. It's fantastic. Everybody, if you want to hear more about this, there have been a couple of other conversations you can find on the Marching Roundtable YouTube channel where we talk to people from the Gift of Music Foundation, Scott and some others, about what the process is. I have an interview with the band director about how important it was to his beginning band program. You can find all that at the Marching Roundtable YouTube channel. Scott, I love this work that you're doing. I think it's fantastic. The idea that some instrument that I have stuck in a closet or an attic could actually end up in the hands of a beginning student, give them the gift of getting able to be in the band, play music. We all know how important that was to us. I love that you're doing this work. What do you want to say as we're closing?
Just it's such an important thing. Music education, so far beyond just playing an instrument. Anybody that's played music for a long time understands. You learn so many social skills. You learn how to be a part of an ensemble and not always the soloist. You learn responsibility and dedication and work ethic. And, it's so much more than just playing notes on an instrument. It's life-changing for just about everybody that's ever been in it. It's just too important to us. That's why our hashtag is because music matters. And that's why we do what we do, because we know that music matters to individuals and to our society. It's just too important to ignore.
I love it. So everybody go to giftofmusic.org, figure out how to donate an instrument or just make a donation or figure out how you can help in any way. Scott, thank you for talking to me. I love the work that you're doing. Continued great luck.
Thank you. We appreciate all the exposure and we appreciate the chance to reach out to a larger audience. It's very important.
Absolutely. Thank you. Hey everybody, it's Tim and I am here with Michael James and Ira Jenkins, and we are going to have information that you can use because these guys are so great at all things visual, color guard, movement, horn line movement. That's what we're going to be talking about. Michael James, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing, Sam?
I'm great. It's so wonderful to see you. And Ira Jenkins, how are you, Ira?
Doing great.
So I'm really happy that we are talking because I like both of you guys so much, and you're both so good at what you do. And so you're gonna get some information that's gonna be very helpful to you, no matter what part of all this martial arts stuff you do. Ira, I'll let you introduce yourself first. If you just sort of fill everybody in on what you do and about your judging part.
Sure. So I am an adjudicator for not only the marching arts, but also for the Winter Guard environment as well. So you'll see me for the winter with WGI, as well as the local circuits, as well as DCI in the summer, and of course BOA in the fall, judging the visual captions, color guard, ensemble, individual analysis.
Right. Of course, you're a great designer and instructor and everything else too, but you are here in the role of adjudicator, so you got your judge's hat on today. Michael, if you'll introduce yourself in case anybody doesn't know who you are.
Oh, no one knows who I am. Michael James here from Orlando, Florida, and I design for a couple teams across Florida and Texas, and Michigan, and a couple drum corps, Phantom Regiment, Santa Clara Vanguard, and yeah. I actually judged my first show in almost 10 years a couple weekends ago.
Very
so
good.
I do not do judges at all. So.
Well, I love that you're here. You're sort of here as our in the choreographer role for this conversation. But Michael, I think you've done a lot of very high profile work over the years. And if you're listening to this, everybody, you have seen Michael's work on the field. Some really iconic moments with Cavaliers, Phantom Regiment, lots of bands, lots of really fantastic Winter Guards, et cetera. So you've seen Michael's work. Michael, I'm so happy that you're here to talk about this. So I was talking to a visual judge about having a conversation, and her idea was to talk about purposeful movement, and that's sort of what we're going to talk about here today. We are now doing lots of movement in the world of marching with winds and percussion, and so when a group is stopped and they're just playing, and they're not marching drill or doing some other kind of movement, we have started adding body movement underneath that. But the question is it purposeful? Is there a reason that it's there? Why do we decide to put it in, and how is it being performed? So that's what we're going to talk about. I'm going to read the description from the adjudicator that I was talking to about this. Here's what she wrote. Are groups doing choreography because it enhances the music, moment, concept, etc., or are they doing it because of a false perception that it will get more points in the visual caption because competitors are, or because they see drum corps doing it? So in other words, are they putting it in because they think it really enhances the moment, or do they think it's sort of like a required element they have to throw in even if their groups aren't ready for it or they don't know what they're doing, right? Which is sort of the second part of this. This person writes, the number of plie, shift weight to lunges and back to something resembling a first position was extreme when they were judging. I wonder how staff choose to add choreo, and is it simply motivated because the drill writer had some standing still? Does every moment warrant or need choreography? Or are they teaching actual ballet techniques? And so I have to tell you guys, we've all seen it. Like now everybody, I think they think we can't just stand there and play. So we're gonna put something in underneath it. But then what we see is everybody doing the same sort of leg out, turn your foot the other way, even though it's not a jazz moment, but we're gonna do it anyway, even though we're playing Tchaikovsky. And then we're gonna come back this way, and then they're gonna plie. And it's like it doesn't have anything to do with the show, but they throw it in. So which of you wants to start this? Take that and start somewhere.
I'll start. Well, for me, yes. Is it worth warranting doing it? Especially because when the kids are playing horns or whatever, when they're playing, there's only so much you can do with your lower body. And if the kids are not trained to do much more than a lunge or a tendu or whatever, or a plie, then what you can give them choreography-wise is limited. So when it's a younger program, I tend to pick and choose my battles, so to speak, right? So you're not going to just throw it in just because you have to move. Sometimes it can be just something just simple, just stand in second, and then bring your foot back in before the next step off. It doesn't have to be every single note, you're trying to cover it all. And I even feel that sometimes with the more advanced groups, sometimes it's just simply just okay to just stand there. You don't have to do it at every hold in the show. With that being said, you have to also make sure that your kids are being trained in somewhat least basic technique of ballet and know what they're doing. Because I know I don't want to see someone, do 15 plies within, a 2-minute selection. I just, it's just not, it's not nice to watch that. But I also understand, they feel that they have to add something because they do see their competitors or other bands or whatever doing a lot of movement. But again, you have to pick and choose your battles, right?
Yeah, I would tend to agree with that. And, I've been judging quite a bit here recently. And again, the number of plies and weight shifts and lunges that I've seen over time is just, quite a bit. And I don't know, because I'm not the designer for the groups, I don't know if they're doing it because they actually think it fits, or if they're doing it because they think that that's what the judges want, or if they're doing it because they see their competitors doing all the things. I've also noticed there being a bigger push for, we're going to stand still and play and do these weight shifts and plies, and then we're going to run while we're not playing, while the other group is playing, and they're going to be doing weight shifts and lunges and plies, and then when we stand still, then we're going to do ours. And then we'll perhaps, all do something together when we stand still. I think that there are definitely tactics and strategies that the designers are using to help check the boxes that they think they need to check. The purpose for the movement and when it happens and how it happens, I think that's up to the designers to really decide, can they really justify what they're doing? In terms of the teaching and the performance side of things, I do question sometimes the level of training that the students are getting, because I do understand, as a musician, they've got to learn their dots, they've got to learn their notes, they've got to learn all these things, and they have to play musically. And then on top of that, we're now asking them to move as well as, the well-trained color guard is moving when we're doing these, layering these effects on top of each other. So I think that there's definitely room for growth in terms of really teaching, what the upper body has to play when we're doing the plie. It's not just the focus on the lower body. Or if we're doing the weight shift, what does that entail? What does that mean for the entire body? Not just make your body go that way or make your body go that way. There's more to it. So I think there definitely could be some more help and instruction with the musicians on not only what they're doing, what they're being asked to do, but how they should be actually getting through those types of asks.
Okay, so there's no doubt that staff members today think they can't stand still and play. Okay, I mean, like, there's no question. Listen, we've all been on the field, and it's like, okay, well, we're standing still for this sequence of counts. The drill riders haven't been moving, so let's add somebody. The problem with that is, if your group has a limited vocabulary, if you're just starting to learn the things, then you're stuck. So let's start there. Okay, say I have a group and we're starting to explore the world of movement, and I'm teaching them some basic good movement dance technique stuff. How do I not make it stupid and inappropriate? How do I make it make sense in the show? And how do I make it not seem like the same 3 moves that my kids know over and over? Michael, if you're in front of a group, how do you tackle that?
Well, the whole thing about adding movement into whatever they're doing, that has to be done it's part of your whole production schedule, right? So what you hope to do is that that moment has been designed so the kids can do movement, yada, 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 yada. So it's not, okay, the drill guy just sent off all this drill, and we're standing still here for 28 counts. What can we do? And then you have to sit there and go, okay, the kids need to do something. Maybe they only really move every 8 counts or something like that. So it's less taxing for the kids to learn a lot of choreography, but you still, as time goes on, you're building their repertoire of what they can do. And then hopefully the next year after that, you can add more and more in a hold of 28, instead of I'm only moving 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It's more time for them to count through what they need to do. Then as they get better at it, then you can add more movement as their repertoire gets better, what they can do as individuals. I always feel like we have to build their vocabulary before you just give them a whole bunch of stuff, because you're going to spend more time cleaning the actual technical aspect of what they're doing, and then the music will fail, or they won't be playing the music as well if you're giving them too much to handle all at one time when they're too young. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. So Ira, if you're an adjudicator and you're watching a group, you know they're a young group. You can tell they've probably just started to learn basic movement. Like, I would assume it's better to see them do fewer things well that make sense than for them to try to put in a whole bunch of stuff that they saw Santa Clara do that they're not ready for.
Absolutely. We can't give students or performers credit for things that they are only attempting and not actually achieving. And when you look at the GE visual sheet, it says interpretation and enhancement of the music. So if they're doing things that don't really truly interpret or enhance the music, then why are we doing it? And even with the visual performance ensemble sheet, it says quality use of the elements of design. So again, when you look at these sheets, they pretty much tell you that there needs to be purpose, real purpose behind what is being done. And then on the excellence and technique side of things, or the performance side of things, the students have to have a solid performance. They have to be able to achieve and demonstrate a level of truly understanding what they're being asked to do. And when those moments are layered, especially for musicians, when they're being asked to do things with their body while they're playing their instrument, that's an even different skill than playing alone or movement alone. So I think that there's got to be that level of understanding and dialogue amongst the staff with, why are we doing this? Is this enhancing? Are our performers actually able to achieve this at a high level?
There's another 16 minutes of this conversation when we share solutions you can use to make sure you're on the right track with your program. You can check that out on the Marching Roundtable YouTube channel. Next week on BOA Today, we talk with John Mays and Stephanie Click of Seven Lakes High School about diversity and sharing students effectively with other organizations in your school. We get advice from choreographer Andre Williams, and we hear from some band parents who are making a huge difference in their program and having a great time doing it. We hope you'll join us next week.
Watch for BOA Today every Wednesday this season from the Marching Roundtable. We take you behind the scenes and up close to the great performances, interesting stories, and fascinating people that make Bands of America so exciting. If you have a story about your band family that you would like us to share, please contact Tim via email at tim@marchingroundtable.com or fill out the contact form at marchingroundtable.com.
Marching Arts Education and the Marching Roundtable are proud strategic partners of Music for All. The Bands of America Championships, presented by Yamaha, are a program of Music for All. Music for All's mission is to create, provide, and expand positively life-changing experiences through music for all. For more resources for educators and boosters, please visit advocacy.musicforall.org.